certainly never socialized with him after he was charged with any offense. I only socialized with him in the context of academic meetings, of meetings at Harvard. My relationship with him was academic, and then it was lawyer-client. It was marginally social only in relation to the academic part, but it was predominantly an academic relationship. And it all occurred before any of us had any idea. I never saw him in the presence of any underage person or even anybody close to being underage. The people I saw him with were in their late 20s or 30s, but I think it's true that all the people, the Harvard president, the Harvard provost, the professors, we were all shocked when we learned about the private life, which he kept completely walled off from the life he lived in academia at his office at Harvard.
Not shocked enough not to represent him.
I have never refused to represent a client, no matter how heinous the allegations are. I represented a young man who was accused of lining up 9 Buddhist nuns and monks and murdering them in cold blood. And I got his conviction reversed on constitutional grounds. I've represented, and I will continue to represent, people charged with very, very serious crimes. No, I have only 2 rules. I don't represent fugitives, people who are seeking to evade justice, and I don't represent people who are in the business of committing crimes, or organized crime people or terrorists. But I will represent anybody charged with a past crime, and Jeffrey Epstein was among the many who I represented. I've had over 250 cases in my career, many accused of crimes far more serious than those that Jeffrey Epstein was accused of committing.
Now, you know that Prince Andrew has been pulled into the spotlight again with the release of the video. What did you know about Prince Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
I met Prince Andrew through Lady Rothschild. She invited me to the birthday party for Lord Rothschild, at which both Jeffrey Epstein was present and Prince Andrew was present. Prince Andrew then came and spoke to my class at Harvard. The dean at Harvard Law School then had a lunch for Prince Andrew, and he wrote a very nice note appreciating his invitation to Harvard. I was then invited by the Consul General of Boston to have dinner with Prince Andrew in Boston when he was visiting, and that was the nature of my contact with Prince Andrew. I never saw him in an inappropriate situation. I've only seen him in professional and social situations that were entirely appropriate.
Did you continue to socialize with Prince Andrew ever at Jeffrey Epstein's houses or on a plane or on his island? Did you ever see Prince Andrew outside that academic atmosphere?
Absolutely not. And I was never on Jeffrey Epstein's island during the relevant time period, and I was never on his Lolita Express plane. I was on a plane with my team members, with my nephew, with my wife, with my daughter, and with my academic colleagues. But I never saw Prince Andrew either on an airplane or on an island or in any setting other than the ones I've just described, academic and political in the sense of having a meeting at the home of the Consul General of Great Britain to Boston.
Do you think it would be helpful if Prince Andrew came forward and cooperated with lawyers of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims, given the situation that we're in now? Do you think he should help?
Well, everybody has an obligation to contribute to the administration of justice. I went to the United States Attorney and the District Attorney immediately and told them everything and offered complete and total cooperation. I have never refused to answer a question either from the media or from law enforcement. It really all depends on what the facts are. The reason I've been so open and forthright is I have absolutely nothing to hide. I have had sexual relations with one woman since the day I met Jeffrey Epstein. That's my wife. I don't flirt. I don't touch. And that's why I can be completely forthright about everything. Every individual has to make a decision based on what their life has been like and whether they can or cannot be cooperative. I can tell you one thing for sure.
I just want to ask you a straightforward question about Jeffrey Epstein. When you secured him a reduced conviction and sentence, it wasn't a federal case, it was a state case. Did Jeffrey Epstein ever talk to you about his sex trafficking, about his victims, about his sex slaves? Did he ever talk to you about anything that never became public?
Clients always talk to lawyers about matters that are not made public, and lawyers have to go to their graves protecting the confidentiality of anything a client told them in relationship to legal representation. The deal we got to have a state charge rather than a federal charge was because it was very hard to make a federal case. Most of the people involved were local and payments were made in cash. For it to be a federal case, there has to be transportation and interstate commerce or the use of interstate wires or communication methods, and the federal government just didn't have that.
We must come on to your own involvement, your own personal involvement. Virginia Roberts Giuffre claims that you had sex 6 times with her. I wonder, did you ever meet her? Did you know her? Did you ever hear about her from Jeffrey Epstein?
Let me be very clear. I never met Virginia Roberts. I never heard of her. And she never met me or heard of me. We now have emails from Sharon Churcher of the Mail that prove that in 2011, which is 9 years after she allegedly had sex with me 7 times, she had never heard of me. She had to be told that I was Epstein's lawyer and that I wrote Reversal of Fortune and was Klaus von Bülow's lawyer. She told the FBI she did not have sex with me. She told her best friend she did not have sex with me. She told her boyfriend she did not have sex with me.
She denies that. She says that she has been quite clear that she has had sex with you. And of course, now there is a defamation case coming up because she claims that you have lied about her.
The records are clear. They're all documented.
Finally, whose side should Alan Dershowitz be on? Should you be on the side of high-profile, rich clients who are accused of perhaps rape or murder? Or should you be on the side of alleged victims, often poor young women who do not have, as it were, the firepower behind them?
I represent 50% of my cases pro bono. I have represented numerous women. I've represented a woman who killed her husband because she was a battered woman. I've represented another woman who was accused of killing her husband. I represented a woman who was locked up by her husband in a mental hospital. I represented a young girl who was taken away from her mother because her mother was having a relationship with another woman. I do more pro bono representation of victims of harassment, but I also represent people who are wealthy. But the vast majority of my clients over the years have been without means. And so people know about my famous cases, Klaus von Bülow or Jeffrey Epstein or O.J. Simpson. I don't choose sides. I'm a lawyer. I'm like a doctor and I'm like a priest. I represent people who need representation, and I'm one of the few lawyers who represents half of my clients on a pro bono basis. Poor people, people who have never, ever been in the public light except they've either been charged with a crime or have been a victim of a crime.
Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.